We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Grok Talk, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GraniteGrok.com. We are your feared extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from GraniteGrok.com.
Grok Talk.
All right, if you're listening live and have to go driving, especially if you're anywhere north of Manchester, please be careful. We have freezing rain, so the roads are very slippery. You may notice there's cars off the road with their headlights pointing up into the sky, for example. That's going to happen on a day like this. Snow's almost better, but it's what we got, and so there we go. Remind you that Grok Talk is brought to you by a coalition of New Hampshire taxpayers and the bloggers at GraniteGrok.com. Listen to us every weekday at GraniteGrok.com and Spreaker.com from 9 to 11 a.m. As we rebroadcast this and past programs, you could also listen on Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, and iHeart Radio. We're working on expanding our various venues. Of course, the rocknhcr.com also carries the program every day from 9 to 11 a.m. Monday through Friday, and you can listen live right now, if you happen to be listening to live.
You're
Thank
stuck
you very
in the
much.
house. You better be listening.
Yeah, you're stuck in the house. Oh, I forgot to turn that down.
You're not shoveling snow.
There we go. No, you're not shoveling snow. You're just watching your driveway turn into a skating rink. You know, we had the weather. We had a little snow over the holidays, and then it got hard like ice, and then we had that powder like last week.
Yeah, or in between the rain. I mean, the first bunch of
taking out the dog, and it's like, whoa. Yeah. So that's how the roads are without the snow. So behave yourselves. Skip, you still there?
Yeah, and I'd rather have snow. I feel like I'm trapped indoors again. That's all right. I can finally do some blogging.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you can.
I have to apologize for the lack of quantity of doing anything lately.
Well, I haven't done a lot this week because I've been working on this whole daily broadcast thing that I have to run off my laptop for 2 hours every morning. I have to have it all ready to go before I get to work, and then when I get there, I got to trigger it at the right time, and then I can go off and do my business, and it runs itself. But that and working on the new format, getting the Google Plus page done, getting the Facebook page done, trying to figure out when we're going to do some marketing and advertising on Spreaker. So I have not posted much this week either.
Been busy much, though?
Busy.
I've been stalking people.
Yeah,
My
work days tend to tend to be very full, and then every so often I find something that really jumps out at me, and I just got to post it. I couldn't resist the word mangling when I heard that Haier had bought all of GE's appliance business. So I had to put the bit up about Bad Haier Day.
Bad Haier Day. All right, Kevin's not here. I don't know. I'm going to email him and Facebook him and IM and see if he's off the road somewhere or if we had an issue and a scheduling problem that I didn't get an update on. In the meantime, Mike, pick a topic and start going with it because I have to go do this other stuff.
No, there's no problem. I mean, first of all, during the debate, I thought that Trump was more mellow and better informed, and I think there were some pretty good exchanges. Trump certainly isn't giving any ground. On the other hand, Cruz got off some really good zingers. This stuff over the New York values has got legs, and it isn't in favor of Cruz either. Of Trump either.
He didn't die in a ditch. Yay!
Good. It's likely to work out to Cruz's benefit, but. The thing that got my attention was near the end of the exchange on that. It just depends how closely you've been following some of the utterances of Trump on the campaign trail, for example. But at the end of that exchange, Cruz came out with this one-liner. Not that many conservatives come out of Manhattan. And you had to have been there when Cruz started doing well in Iowa. The first thing that happened is as Trump's out there trying to court the evangelicals and say, not that many evangelicals came out of Cuba.
Well, they got to pat each other on the back for that. It's pretty good give and take.
I think so. In spite of the fact that Trump is clearly trying to make sure he comes out on top because he sees Cruz as a genuine threat. I've been saying for weeks, slowly, catchy Trumpy. Cruz has this nice, steady trajectory. Trump is trying to make sure he comes out on top, but he's trying not to do too much damage along the way, I think, and Cruz likewise.
And he'll wind up making it a two-man deal.
I think they will, because that deal is going to do so much damage to the Washington cartel.
All right.
And they are so deathly afraid.
Let's talk to our guest.
That's
Okay.
right. I'm enjoying this conversation too.
That's
There,
okay.
there was also the blog line,
Or
of
maybe
the day,
not.
blog line of the day from Richard Vigory a couple of days ago. Blog line of the week. Part of the reason they're afraid of Cruz is he's not going to just go along with the program. He's going to burn down the entire rat-filled, plague-infested warehouse that is Washington D.C. I mean, it was a pretty sharp line. It was very good. I have to post it.
All right, there are
Kevin.
other progressive plagued rat-infested houses in the world, and most of them are on college campuses. And Kevin has come to us with loads of personal experience from this realm, as well as a new project, which we would like you to tell us about.
Yes. Thanks for having me. Roads were terrible. An hour from Nashua, so I apologize I'm late. But
Well, it's okay.
a lot of cars off the road, like 6 cars off the road. So
Along Route 3 and 93?
yeah, 393, 293, people going about 25, so just slushy. So,
It got worse on over time. I came up here at about 75 mile an hour.
yeah, got bad over time, unfortunately. So, yes, so I'm embroiled in this campus controversy stuff. So, and it's really heating up. If you guys have been following, that's what's happening. There's a great resource called College Fix that I keep referencing on my Facebook page, and it's a newspaper that's written by conservative professors who are mentoring, wannabe kind of conservative journalists throughout the country, and they're exposing all kinds of stuff that's happening on campus. And every day there's 7 stories that pop up that are just, completely out of control. So I wanted to do something about it. So I got a great job at Montana State. So I was teaching a class called Freshman Seminar, which is an awesome class. Essentially, it's a class in critical thinking. And that's how it's described. In a college, wow. Yeah. So they want to teach the freshmen how to be critical thinkers.
Is this an online course, or
No, it's a face-to-face.
you actually go to Montana and?
Yeah, so I was out there for a while. I was out there for 4
I was
months.
wondering where you were because you left.
Yeah.
And you were gone, and I'm like, where'd Kevin go?
So I left on a kind of a working sabbatical for the summer, and so I was working in Yellowstone for 3.5 months. Then I applied to Montana State while I was there, got this job. I thought I would take it, so I've been out there for 8 months. But I missed New Hampshire, wanted to come back for the primary season especially, so that's probably why I'm back. But great job in critical thinking. It's the course that all the freshmen are mandated to take. They're small classes, so you really get to engage the students. They love it. It's a combination of philosophy, sociology, psychology, contemporary issues. We talked about Plato. We talked about, Martin Luther King. So all sorts of, value, different positions come in. But Montana State is a kind of a center-right sort of university. Western schools tend to be a little bit different than the Eastern schools. But, like all the schools, they've got all the diversity clubs and all the students for diversity, students to, the queer students, the gay students, the women students, all these groups are very active and prominent, and they're always displaying their stuff. And there's very few, sort of middle-of-the-road or conservative kind of organizations. So I wanted to try to mentor and support those aspiring groups. So I'm starting a group called Students for Common Sense, which is really a group that battles political correctness. And so our idea would be to just promote ideas or say things out loud that are true that nobody is allowed to say.
Touchy.
Real touchy, yeah. So
do you guys have little shirts with mascots
we
on them?
will eventually.
Nice.
Flak
If we can get
jackets.
some funding. If we can get some funding, so I'm hoping who's listening out in your wonderful audience.
I
is
suggest an Indian, something like that, on there, maybe.
We'll do that.
A Western Indian. Anyway, yeah.
But at our first group, we just set up a table and we just listed a whole bunch of ideas that are basically, commonsensical. Girls are different than boys, for instance. Things like that we would say, and we just kind of promoted them on the table. So people would come by and kind of look at that. So my idea is that if you just start saying those things out loud enough, you'll create a lot of tension, but you may provide an alternative. And then a number of students came out and said, yeah, this is interesting, or some people were like, I'm not supposed to be looking at this, or I'm not supposed to be agreeing with you, that kind of stuff.
There goes their whole elementary school education.
Exactly. And, there's we've talked before, Steve, there's a delusional this is a mental illness we're talking about. We've got a whole bunch of people that have been indoctrinated with just crazy ideas.
Liberalism is a mental disease.
It's a mental disease. And so what I'm trying to do as a family therapist is, kind of provide an alternative to that. There are other ideas that are actually true. And in my classes, I did that, but in a very balanced way. I'm not reverse indoctrination, just presenting ideas that are research based.
If you could teach critical thinking in a balanced way across a lot of campuses or campi, you would get to a situation where liberalism would mostly weed itself out.
Yes, that's what happened. So ours is an infiltration strategy, to kind of gradually go in, speak the truth, provide an alternative to the dogma that they're exposed to, and hopefully over time. And I think that's happening. I think we're at a watershed moment where these ideas are starting to be challenged, and the ridiculousness of this social justice nonsense is starting to be exposed to some extent. And there's some psychotic breaks happening. People are really worried that their whole worldview is falling apart.
Their whole worldview may be falling apart, but also all of their employment opportunities and their ability to live as well as their parents or grandparents is simply falling apart. And they're beginning to realize that Hillary can't cut it, and frankly, Bernie neither.
Exactly, and I think you put your finger on it. This is a massive jobs program, right? So there are tons of... If you look at what Black Lives Matter wants... They want diversity clubs. They want more professors. They want money for their social justice.
It's all about the money.
It's all about the money.
Every time.
And your activism uncovers this all the time. And it's all about the cash, and it's guised in this sort of do-gooder language.
Yeah, he gets to live all over the country.
Right.
Different addresses.
Yeah. But the protesters come out. The protesters help the leaders demand these things, and it's about the money. But do the individual protesters get a better job, a higher wage, or any more chances? No, they get their worthless degrees, but their leaders get all the money and all the kudos.
They're useful idiots. Yeah, useful idiots.
Well, the left needs them in quantity.
Yeah, exactly.
I had an opportunity once. I was asked to be a presenter. I wouldn't say educator or teacher at a function in. It was actually worth a college credit of some sort at NEC in Henniker. And it was on municipal local activism in presidential primaries. So it was me versus the Sierra Club and AFL-CIO, I believe. So I show up, and I'm listening to the start off. It's maybe 15 students, and one of them was, oh boy, anyway, in his 70s probably. And so we started off, and I said, well, I run, and one guy was late. So the two of us are beginning, and the Sierra Club starts first, and I think I was second. And I said, well, with us, we provide information to the candidates, local stuff. Yeah. Like, here's what happened to my friend Jorge because of your federal program. Here's what happened to Steve because of your federal program. So we handled that. And I said, and we also do a lot of talk radio. I said, talk radio is where it's at. So I said, you don't get a lot of the slippery flyers in your mailbox. You open your mailbox and 15 slippery glossies come sliding out at you. They don't even burn in the fireplace. They just curl up. And that's basically I'm telling these students. And they're looking at me. And they go to the other person on my right. She tells them kind of, their end of it. We have this much money, and we do this, and we canvass. And the guy comes in that's late. And they said, oh, would you like to add to this? He goes, well, yeah, I'm sorry. I did. I'm late, blah, blah, blah. He goes, the secret to this? Talk radio, which I just told them. So I get to do the eye roll. So it was a time where we were allowed to go grab some lunch, and I headed out to the hallway. They had a little table set up with some apples and stuff on it. So I go to grab something, and a guy leans over to me, a college kid, shaved head and earrings, multiple earrings. He goes, you got a lot more friends in here than you think.
And that's what happens. They're afraid. That's what
they don't
happens.
want to say
They'll
it out
tell
loud.
you. No one says that. So they kind of go like this. Even professors. There's a lot of conservative professors.
So Hollywood and college campi, they're there, but they're afraid to show themselves.
Yeah. So I'm trying to bring them out of the shadows.
One of the students was Dave Carney.
Oh, really?
Do we need an amnesty program to bring them out of the shadows?
All right, we're going to take a really short break. We'll continue with this conversation because we just started, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Need more Grok Talk? Well, you can catch new shows Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Miss a show? Not a problem. Past shows are rebroadcast here daily from 9 to 11 a.m. Monday through Friday. Join us for 2 hours of unapologetic conservatism. And we're not just armed with opinions.
Rock Talk.